Hey everybody, clearing. All right. Oh, I mined this in Washington. Kind of pretty. All right, let's get into. So this morning, all I can hear is you didn't deserve that. I would say there's a big eye opener in the energy for the DMs, is what I'm picking up on. So let's have a look and do a recap from the DMs point of view. I feel like these eclipses are really putting some things into context. But let's have a look. Oh, we got the twin flame card and getting there eventually kind of energy. But let's have a look. So thank you, Divine Creator. What can we see for these DMs, Divine Masculines, and how they're coming to terms with the way that they have navigated the connection so far? So what have they been thinking about those times that the DFs didn't deserve whatever way they handled? What is it that the DMs have needed to clear on all the usual levels here? We'll do a past review on accountability and the maturity, the choices, what the DMs thought at the time. Let's get some wording from them about the themes that they had been navigating. So what they were thinking at the time, what they needed to heal and clear, what they would say. Let's have a look at some emotions connected with these things. So we're going to look at how they're thinking, how they were thinking, how they were feeling, what they wanted, what actions they were or were not taking, all that kind of thing, their challenge through the you didn't deserve that lens. Let's look at the spiritual development, energetic savvy coming in, and then what you need to know, Divine Feminines, about what we're going to see here. Last one, and all right, so here we go. All right, so you didn't deserve that, feminines. What can we see about the past? Emperor. So this is a very stoic control. I just heard misguided, like I had to have it all together. I had to look like I knew what I was doing. I didn't want you to think poorly of me, so I just adopted this mask. I adopted this mode to compensate for any shortcomings I felt that I had. Here's the eclipse. So this has really come to light where your masculine feels safer to be themselves with you than ever, but they are admitting here that they kind of would freeze into what they thought you wanted to see. What have they been clearing about that? Four of Swords, Lord of Rest from strife. Yeah, so they're starting to see this was manufacturing more strife than it was worth. They're beginning to see that this act didn't do anyone any favors. Love is the answer, they're saying here. So they're finding the love within themselves to love who they are, despite any perceived faults, deficiencies, this act they put on. I just heard that you saw them at their worst when they were flailing and falling apart, that many of the times that they said things that were contradictory or actions that were contradictory, it was when the pressure of this facade gave way. And they're realizing that the times they had outbursts were when they weren't feeling lovable or proud of themselves, and it crept into the connection. Oh, yes. What is the energetic upgrade that's allowing them to see it this way? Spine of fire, true self, passion, motivation, and purpose. So instead of faking it till you make it, these DMs are realizing that it's only ever been them aligning with themselves that was the answer here. Loving themselves enough to validate that they are unique, precious, special, wonderful, worthy, for who they actually are. What do you need to know about this, feminines? Here's you, this magical mermaid, and your masculine. There's a child in this picture with hands crossed and not feeling like they could grow up. Like, look at this contrast. Emperor is the king of all kings. And then this tiny little child internally. So have compassion, feminines. You really shocked, I just heard, your masculine with your existence. And it's been a little bit of a journey. You know, in a lot of ways, we are taught to blame the masculine who isn't in this all-knowing, patriarchal, godlike position authentically. We forget that they don't just come with the instruction manual, and a lot of people have imposter syndrome out there. And it's this culturally sanctioned, I'm just hearing damned if I do, damned if I don't, but this very facetious, covert disdain for masculines and feminines that happen with ego, wounding, trauma, codependency that's rampant in our culture. This is that mask falling. What do the masculines understand about you not deserving something here where it directly related to you, feminines? Blocking, ghosting. This isn't in the upright. Wow, we have the eclipse again. So this eclipse again has shown them that their false constructs of blocking, stonewalling, hedging out, ghosting, it wasn't as genuine as they either thought or were acting out in your dynamic. With this card in the inverse, there's like a crack of light that gets in. There's a keyhole here. So it's not completely, it's more for demonstration, more for out of weakness, out of flailing. So they're admitting again that they're seeing their spastastic behaviors as not as not 100% infallible. Like, they didn't fully mean it. It was a protection mechanism with you. What did they need to clear? Here's the Empress, daughter of the mighty ones. It's not that they didn't think you were the Empress. It's just they didn't think they had the stamina, the character, the answers, the freedom, the ability to match you. And so they made it look like they were better. They made it look like they were rejecting you because it's a mirror. They were rejecting themselves. Wow, what would they say? I am coming trust in the inverse. So this is the inner work that they are doing to clear through the inner awareness of why they behaved in these ways that you didn't deserve. They're really taking accountability for their own projections, their own actions here, and tracing it to the root of the core of why they did this, why they chose to show up in these ways. And they're beginning to see that it's an immature developmental stage that is quite common in society and perpetuated with generational developmental stage. They very much see that they are the product of their imprinting and this day and age on the planet. But these are the masculines that are the hope for humanity, because they're actually taking a look at this stuff and wondering what makes them tick. Like, they care enough as how they've influenced you, feminines, to really move generational curses, the herd mentality, survival. What a beautiful time on the planet that we have the ability to start questioning these habituated responses and ways of behaving when triggered. They're taking accountability. They're doing this inner work. What can we see for the energetics? Seal of indivisible visions, psychic vision, hidden meanings, dream reading. So they're looking deep within their intuitive capacity here. Indivisible visions. There's no fine line. You are so, divine feminines, you're so intertwined in this process for them as to it being impossible this could have happened with anyone else. This is the perfect combination to actually see this level of reality for what it is and to step beyond the norm into something that's much more 1111 real. These connections are gateway connections to real love because they have what it takes to expose the lies, to expose the ego, to expose the illusions and limitations. What is the message for the feminines? Yeah, baby steps, one by one foot in front of the other. There is a changeover. We've got a 2 and a 2 here. So this is the juggling, the decision making to continue laying a strong foundation here while taking accountability for all of these energies that were handed to the masculines by being born at this time on the planet, with the amount of soul and divinity they came in on. So that has to do with incarnating in family lines that were poised and ready for this kind of generational curse breaking. So thank you, ancestors, for bringing each one of these incredible counterparts through your family lines. Thank you, Divine, for allowing for grace to come into the planet. And thank you, each one of you, for doing your share on the planet. What are these masculines wanting to say about the heart space in these connections, about you not deserving something? Yeah, so they've had more time to think about the factors. This is the 4 of Swords that comes after the 3 of Swords. The 3 of Swords is the heartache, self-imposed, circumstantially, whatever it may be. This is a rest period that comes after that strife. So in the heart space, these masculines know it was circumstantial or pre-existing crap that caused for the fears, the lack of knowing, the facade, the masks. And they're beginning to see that this is the humble grace where we can take the masks off and say, I fully understand I didn't intend on hurting. Nobody deserved that. You didn't deserve it. I was misguided. I was stressed. I was not thinking critically. I was with critical thinking. I wasn't looking at the aspects that mattered. I was going on impulse based on what I had learned, on conditioning. And it's starting to sink in with the psychic intuitive card and the third eye here. Masculines are really turning inward to their intuition to sort the frequency of their choices and what actually feels right and what doesn't. That's why they can see this energy now and say you didn't deserve it, because they know it's coming from a misguided place. What are they clearing? King of Pentacles. So this is the commitment, the consistency. They're clearing out anything that is not genuine, that stops them from showing up in the physical. What would they say? If I asked you to stay, would you leave? Yeah, this is the hypocrisy. They're looking at any of the things that legitimately warrant you not wanting to stick around. I'm literally hearing if they proposed marriage, if they proposed lifelong commitment, if they came forward and told you how much they want to be with you in their entirety, these are the things that would come up that you would say, what about that? How do we know this isn't going to happen again? How do you feel about this? Have you seen the error of the ways regarding this? How do I know you've learned and not going to back off again or get cold feet again or project again? So yeah, they know they can't ask you to stay in their life forever if they're not impeccable, and their conscience is finding them out here. But it's not their core of who they are, it's the conditioning. So this is the saving grace. What can we see for the emotion? Ooh, we didn't do that whole thing. Okay, we're gonna get a wow, I guess this one is the one we need. Emotion, regret. I know that I cannot change the past. I'm going to set those away because I forgot to use them with the rest of the cards here, but regret called to me. So they are learning that they can't change the past, but they can fully change the way they look at more of the unconscious drivers that influenced the past. You can't really regret the way that you've treated somebody if you don't understand. I mean, you can regret it, but you can't heal it and let it go and forgive if you don't understand where it's coming from. So these masculines are becoming conscious enough to see the fabric of these less than life-affirming choices. They're seeing that it's not their fault. It's very hard to take ownership of these things if we think we're fundamentally flawed. And these masculines felt like they were fundamentally flawed because they didn't understand with maturity how to eradicate the insecurity, the conditioning. They didn't see it as conditioning. They didn't see it as things that were handed to them the way that they're seeing it now. I just saw 1717. What is the energy connected with this? Chamber of incantation, invocation, summoning, and ceremony. So many of these masculines have said, I don't want to say a vow, but have recommitted to the higher path here over the last little while. And you may have seen evidence of that. Social media changes with friends, with activity. You may have seen it with in your connection. There might be a newfound peace or spaciousness in a different way that feels more unconditionally loving. What can we see for advice here? So your masculines are considering the effects of these connections with children. This can be passion projects, but it can also be blending families, having children, being the kind of masculine that would be an impeccable leader for the next generation, for legacy. So while it might have been more of a facade, this is a more easygoing embodiment. It's not just this very stoic island unto themselves kind of energy. There are other people in this card here, and they may feel a little bit removed from, but they are surveying the effects that their action have on people, and specifically going forward into the future with any themes that might come up here with children or passion projects or influence, to that degree that we would transfer our choices and essence to the next generations, whether we have biological children or not. This is something that they're really seeing, how they were not given what they could now give once they start to see how generational things are passed forward, or how deficiencies cause for the order of love to go upstream. We are meant to be giving to the future and consecutive generations, those children and consecutive generations are not meant to be focused on parenting the parents. So there's a forgiveness that's needed when we unhook from the going upstream and we start to fully be generous and healed and able to show up for forward motion. So they're setting this record straight before coming into a commitment with you, feminines, because they don't want to have to flail within commitment. These masculines have been heavily guided and they have been hesitant, and many times they have not done well with the fact that they were getting a red light about these connections. They were just as frustrated as you in these moments of disintegration where they blew a gasket or off-gassed this pent-up steam. What can we see on the heart space for you that you didn't deserve? This hermit mode, the in-between. Hermit in the inverse is like breadcrumbs, just enough to keep you there, but not enough to fully commit, but not enough to fully let you in on what they're thinking and feeling. This is, again, is a bit of a facade here that, you know, is almost like an insecure attachment whenever they felt you pulling away a little bit, or whenever they felt circumstances not flowing, just giving enough to remember that the love light might still be burning is what I just heard. What's being cleared with that on the heart space? The universe, this is the world, the great one of nighttime. All I'm getting from this is they want to live with you. They want to be in your energy all through the night. They don't want to have to compartmentalize their life with your connection. They don't want to have these barriers, these boundaries, these distances between you. So on the heart space, they are wanting to get past the aloofness or the safety barrier. They do want to go all in. They don't just want to overcome the world. They want to not have the boundaries of the universe at play in your connection. So there's something about this God self, this internal eternal, that they want to merge with. They don't want to have reservation or regret. They want each of you to come together in such a sacred way that there is no boundary internally or externally, and no need for it, because it's so much safety and love. I'm addicted to you, they would say. So they thought this was lust, but now they know that it's because this is so good for both of you. It's so life affirming. And this is the way they can't justify walking away. This is why they have to mull over these regrets and that you didn't deserve these things, because they cannot quit you. They cannot put it down. They cannot walk away from such a good person, beautiful, amazing, love-filled person. They can't get enough. They literally can't get enough. And they're done bullying themselves for being weak. They used to tell themselves here on the heart space that they were weak and that there must be some broken, insufficient reason why you were so desired by them. They're done trying to tell themselves that that's coming from some kind of a wounded place. They're as addicted to you as they are addicted to their connection to source and life itself, I just heard, because you embody that, feminines. The interesting operative word here is addiction. So masculines, if you're watching this, shift the focus to your connection to source. Your feminine is not your primary source of divinity. It's within you, and you can take the word addiction out of there if you see it right. If you see that it's excitement, it is appreciation, it's gratitude, but it's not more important than having that within you. The edge can be taken off, the specialness, the pedestal can be taken off, the I'm not worthy can be taken off. When you're in idolatry or you're worshiping something above your connection to source, you have a weird hierarchy of power established. And being a masculine, you're not supposed to have your feminine in an elevated seat compared to you. You're meant to be equal. And the only way that can happen is if you are both connected to source as a primary focus. And then you get to celebrate and encourage each other from that place that you have the self-regulation and accountability because you are always connected to source to determine what is appropriate and beneficial and what falls short, aka sin or lack of righteousness. That's the only place that you can sustain for the long term. What is the energy that's being updated here? Quantum continuator 44, self-sustaining systems, fluidity and abundance. Exactly. So these masculines have not found anybody that can meet them in this energy, but the click to union, the click to abundance, the click to highest timelines is the click that comes when we each go to our connection to source and then celebrate these connections with counterpart. What do you need to know, feminines? This is unconditional love. This is what it is. Unconditional love, again, does not mean being a doormat and putting up with anything or getting enmeshed in a situation and then being in hell because it's not balanced or honoring. This is about really setting this foundation, no matter how long it takes, what that looks like, because your guidance with source tells you it's worth it. That's the only reason we should do anything that we do. Doesn't mean we have to be enmeshed. We can do it at a distance until it's justified to do it together. When the groundwork has been set, it's very easy to understand how it could go into the real thing overnight. Just think of Christmas presents. They're all wrapped under the tree, and then you open them. And they were planned, they were chosen, they were gifted before you open them and get to interact with it fully. It's like this. These connections are like Christmas presents, as one analogy there. What can we see for how these masculines are expressing that you deserved better with what they've been wishing for in these connections? So they have never felt separate from you, but they've been trying to embody this awareness, this self-sustaining awareness through the codependency imprinting. That's my card of codependency. In the upright, it's sovereignty. So the feathers represent a lot of safety, this happy, healthy home reality that's being established. So they didn't deserve this push-pull, rejecting, lukewarm, mediocre treatment, half-assed. What were they clearing with that? Queen of Pentacles, they were testing. So we have the King of Pentacles, the universe, and the Queen of Pentacles here. So whether consciously or unconsciously, they're saying, I'll admit it was a bit of both. So these masculines, they are very intelligent feminines. And yes, they're not impervious to testing consciously here. So yes, masculines, we see you. In a way, feminines, as long as it's not malicious, these masculines have gotten all the karma they deserved from testing an Empress, from testing a Queen of Pentacles. Trust me, it has come back tenfold in the ways that they did it. If it was ever lower vibrational, they have seen the error of those ways. It's come back to haunt them, I just heard. So rest assured that if your masculine was coming from a place that wasn't on the up and up and they were trying to set you up for failure, it didn't work. The only one that ended up missing out was them, really. Yes, it may have affected you, but not like it affected them because they really didn't know better. And this love was put in their lives to bless them and to correct them. So just know that you came out with flying colors and they have seen the error of their ways. I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you do bounces off of me and sticks to you. That's the kind of thing here. Like they've really seen. And then there were other ways that they did not know better and they didn't realize they were testing. You still came out on top. You still shone like a bright shining star, feminines. What would they say? I imagine you naked. So they used to fantasize, they used to think of it as just a sexual connection, or they tried to make it seem like it was all about that because they didn't know how to go deeper. They didn't know how to come to terms with the familiarity and the desire to go deeper, love at first sight for many. And it was far beyond just the sexual pull or the attractive, physical attractiveness. And so this has been a deepening. This has been sort of what they've been testing is why was it instantaneous with this person? And they thought it was too good to be true. So they have put it through the gamut to understand what makes this different, why this connection has so much chemistry, what the energetics of this are. They've learned that they have been specializing in energetics. And this is why they know that you didn't deserve how they've treated you, is because now they understand and can discern what an incredible, righteous person you are, feminines. What is the energetic here? Heartwave resonator, ecstasy, rapture, flux, amplification. Exactly. This is where it can take off. We've got liftoff. Houston, we have liftoff. So there's something here where it's going to be amplified. There's a resonance. When we can get into alignment, it levitates. It's a high frequency motion. What do the feminines need to know? Deep, deep things are going to be coming to light. Secrets are going to be coming to light. Hunches you've had about this being your masculine, it's going to all be divulged. When they come forward and open up to you with these kinds of conversation themes, you're going to see how loved you've been all along, how special, how much on a pedestal, and how imbalanced it has been for them to find the one, to find somebody that they can not believe is true until they come into loving themselves enough to accept the gift that the divine has given them through this love. Yeah, what are the actions they regret? Not telling you how beautiful, how incredible, for making you feel like an option, for making you feel like you weren't the most attractive person they have ever seen. They regret that. You didn't deserve that. You deserve to be celebrated in all your perfected glory. You deserve to be acknowledged for your soul, for more than just your physical. You deserve to be appreciated for your wisdom, your vastness, your love. Ooh, I'm crying about that, masculines. Yeah, that's hitting it. Anytime that they diminished how precious, sweet, loving, talented, gifted, wonderful you are, they regret it. You didn't deserve that. You deserve to be freely celebrated. The way you have freely celebrated your masculine as well. They couldn't reciprocate on that level because they didn't believe they were good enough, feminines. What's being cleared? That emperor control stuff. Son of the morning. So they were new. I'm seeing the sun rising and then clouds coming over in front of it. They had the potential, but the rains came, the storms came. So they've had to drop this idea that they needed to have it all figured out, that they didn't have room for growth, for the storms, for the rain. They're seeing holistically here that every time they didn't acknowledge you, the rains came, the storms came into the relationship, is what I'm getting from that. And this has tempered them, it's humbled them, it has shown them in no uncertain terms that when they do not respect the gift that God is giving them, that they are the one that misses out, because depression, karma, regret came in. It's taken them a little while to understand the cause and effect that they bring into these connections, and the suffering that befalls them when they do not receive, act, surrender to this love. What would they say? I need time for me. So in the past, they were worried that it would become enmeshed. This is a more powerful connection than any of the karmic connections they have ever experienced. So they've also revered it. They've also been skittish and cautious because they didn't want to ruin it. They didn't want their lack of healing, their fear, to cause them to get in over their head and not know what they were doing. So while they wanted to make it look like they knew what they were doing, they also genuinely wanted to know what they were doing. And so they have needed this time, and it has shown them how much importance tuning into what their truth actually is has offered into their life. This has been the number one thing this connection has taught them, is that they don't have to rush, that it's not going to be lost if they take the time they need. They didn't realize that it was so important to carve out that time for themselves. They now see a lot of their outbursts and fearful navigation here was an ill-equipped way to ask for space. It wasn't necessarily at face value what they were saying and doing. The bottom line was they needed a breather, they needed some space for themselves, and they had no skills and no track record of others caring enough to give them that. So they're now honoring and learning that you are safe to allow them that if they need that, and that they do need a lot more sincere space to process, to get a handle on things, to sort things out, than they ever gave themselves in the past. They used to jump in ill-equipped to many things, and then it would be even worse than this. I'm just hearing them say, thank God I didn't jump in and then railroad every chance I had here. For some, they may have thought they did. For some, you may have thought they did. But apparently it could have been worse, so let's be grateful. What can we see here? Awakening to source, soul confidence, reassurance, source essence. So these masculines are having a coming to God moment. This eclipse has really brought them behind the veil with communication to source, and they're coming into the source level love of self, putting down the ego. This is proper empowerment on the solar plexus chakra. What do the feminines need to know? That this is love. This is love, and this is where your masculine can come in and offer what they have found here, their unconditional love of self and of you. This is a very humbling motion. They mean it, feminines. These masculines mean it sincerely. What can we see for the biggest challenge that they regret here? Not communicating. What do they need to factor? Temperance. Yeah, they've needed more balance. They've needed to see how communication can be an alchemical process, that it doesn't have to be karmic, that there are ways of communicating these deeper truths, and with the right person, it won't go unnoticed or underappreciated. So they're learning, if they really do take the time to find their truth, you're the one person that gets it. Karmic partners that they may have tried expressing on that level with in the past didn't get it, and it was designed that way, masculines. You weren't compatible. But you can't say or do the wrong thing with the right person. And that's partially what's going on here. Even though you've flailed and blown a gasket at times, masculines, your feminine understands, because they see you through the eyes of the divine. They don't see your earthbound struggles. And if they do, they have compassion because they've worked through theirs as well. What can we see for the energetics? Oh, what would they say? I need more time. So I need time for me. I need more time. So these masculines are finding it within themselves to be productive with the way they process. And there's a lot of hope here, feminines, but your masculines do need this to balance out. We see that it goes from 0 to hero as soon as they do, as soon as this process balances out in them. Then it sets a foundation that can be worked with from there. But while setting the foundation, it needs to have this complete unconditional love. And we get neutrality, diplomacy, negotiation, philosophy. So yeah, stay neutral right now, feminines. They are staying neutral with regard to the way that they are talking to themselves, to allow themselves this time to really transmute the lessons and to integrate what they have become aware of. It's all making sense to me now, I just heard. Yeah, there's a deep outpouring of emotions. Your masculine is very emotional right now. I just heard feeling foolish, embarrassed, but also stronger than ever and more aware than ever and more capable than ever, and ultimately very, 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 very blessed. So blessed, but they're crying right now. They're processing a lot. They're spending alone time. I just heard you might think they're out there playing the field. They are not. They are in nature. They're alone. They're meditating. They're coming to God. They're making a plan. I see journals and notebooks and lists, things they envision with you. They are, I just heard some are planning the wedding. Some are looking at shifting jobs. There's a lot going on. I see them writing out their thoughts with pen, blue ink. They're writing out their thoughts. They're processing their emotions. They're really sitting with it. They need more time to compose themselves because they are blubbering messes right now, I just heard. Ugly crying. But it's a relief. It's not fetal position overwhelmed. It's actually like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could do it this way. I see it now. I'm going for it. What a relief. It's like the tears, the sacred tears won't stop. So it's not even like, I mean, I do hear wailing and mourning, but it's the throwing off the shackles of the conditioning. Their hearts are becoming free. Feminines, this is what the feminines want. What is the solution to this regret of not communicating? Humility. What's being cleared with that humility? The weight. The star here in the inverse. It's becoming immediate. This is the doorway to connection, is compassion, forgiveness, humility. Do you think about me too? So they're thinking about you all the time and wondering if you have them in your heart in this time of spaciousness. Even if you're in communication, even if you're starting to talk on deeper levels, whatever stage you're at, this is a deepening. They're very much seeing how good things could be by contrast to the readiness so far, or the lack of readiness so far. Linear sequencing, hierarchy, time, and logic. These masculines are master organizers. Cause and effect, what is justified, what is warranted, safety coming in here. And their emotions are showing them the validity of this very righteous path they're walking here. And they do see it's time to clear out all of that inauthentic conduct. Yeah, leap of faith. This is uncharted territory. We have one more eclipse on the 17th. There is a calibration that's still coming. So between now and the 17th, these masculines are changed and it's integrating. There is this leap of faith. The burden of the past is being released here. Takes 3 weeks to make a habit, I just heard. What can we see for the near future? Okay, here is that wifey card again. It's in the inverse, so it's calling it in for you, feminines, but masculines are also allowing this to sink in, that they have been given such an exquisite counterpart. And all the ways that you are ticking the boxes they forgot to add to their earthbound lists. Every time they love themselves more, they love you more. What can we see for what's being cleared? That beginning thing of having to know it all, having to look like they had it all figured out, be stoic, unfazed, too cool for school. That's dropping, that's being dropped, and they're being curious. Princess of Swords, this is the open curiosity, inquisitive. What would they say? You are wrong in the inverse. They're really looking at how their mistreatment, mishandling of this connection gave you the impression, or potentially gave you the impression, that you were wrong for them. It couldn't be further from the truth. And then we get freedom, sensitivity, beauty, sensuality. So this is what's been holding them back ultimately, is that you were the right person. You are the right person. They just haven't been free enough in spirit to not sabotage it. They're shedding their humanity as they remember their divinity. They're allowing the, I'm seeing in magic shows where the magician taps the helper on the shoulder and a new dress appears. It's like that's the kind of thing that's going to happen as they go from this falling short, less than potential, to now all of a sudden getting it, holding the frequency of it, reaching that critical mass of becoming. What do you need to know, feminines? Oh, what a beautiful card to leave on here. Higher love. Bring me a higher love. Written in the stars, destined, divinely ordained, divine timing, healed. I wish this for every single one of us. And in the off chance the person you're watching this for isn't going to be this for you, may you be even more profoundly blessed as you continue to crack open your heart and lay bare your soul into this magnificent life. Freedom, sensitivity, beauty, sensuality. I want you to be able to roll in the energies of ecstasy, unguarded with your person. If not this person, then the person that will come in once you learn from this connection. What can we see for the viewers that have watched this far? If you have not liked this video, let's get some record likes. If you've watched all the way, like it. Subscribe if you haven't. I have a membership page. I'm actually about to go live for free with the members over there today as an impromptu thing. I like to be spontaneous and surprise. However, let's get here. Empathy. Forgive yourself and others. Cleanse the mind and body of toxins. Be a loving steward of the earth. Be gentle, be patient. The whole world is healing. We're healing the world. I love you all. Bye for now.